Hi everybody, welcome back to Organ Explorer. I'm your host Owen Sammons, and today I'm with Grant Holcomb, and we are here at Central Christian Church in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. So as usual, make yourself comfortable, get your favorite beverage, and we'll take a tour of the organ here in just a moment. Central Christian Church is a historic building on the corner of Short Street and Martin Luther King. It is on the National Register of Historic Places and is particularly notable as it was founded by Barton Stone. Barton Stone was the leader of the Great Cane Ridge Revival that happened in Bourbon County, Kentucky. Interestingly enough, our last video was in Paris, Kentucky, in Bourbon County. And it is Barton Stone who not only formed the Cane Ridge Revival, established the Cane Ridge Meeting House, but also established Central Christian Church, and is an excellent example of Richardsonian Romanesque architecture. The organ that currently serves Central Christian Church was built by the Holtkamp firm in Cleveland, Ohio in 1960. It just so happens that the church has just done a massive campaign to refurbish this instrument or overhaul this instrument, and Grant will tell you more about that in the video, but it is my pleasure to present it here today before it has been restored, and you will definitely hear the signs of a wind system that is in need of attention, and all that will be addressed. And I've been asked by Grant to make sure to clarify that the analog electronic voices will be removed, and it will again return to its glory as a fully winded instrument by the Holtkamp company. Okay, Grant, so tell us what's cool about this organ.
So here we have one of Walter Holtkamp Sr.'s final instruments. This was built in 1960. Okay. It's 3 manuals. It's 38 ranks over 3 manual and pedal. It's a really interesting instrument because it's, when people think of Holtkamp of the 60s, you think straight neo-Baroque instrument, and it does
low wind
cater.
Pressure.
Exactly. And it does cater all of those things well. Okay. But it's really before the Orgelbewegung really took off.
Right.
You sort of see this early. It's not so much a mature organ reform instrument. It can still handle a wide body of repertoire pretty convincingly, although it does cater especially nicely to the Baroque era.
Nice. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your history here at Central Christian.
Yeah, so my family have long connections here. My dad grew up here, was baptized here, and I grew up here. This is the first pipe organ that I heard.
Really?
Probably.
Nice.
That I remember hearing. So it's really special now that I've joined staff in this organ scholar role. Yeah. Interned, throughout high school and undergrad. My undergrad is in organ, and working on my master's in organ now too.
Fantastic.
As part of the graduate assistantship here. But this organ has played a big part in my development and has a special place in my heart for sure.
That's awesome. Well, not to mention, this organ has a special place in the heart of Lexington. Quite literally, in the heart of Lexington and downtown. One of the fascinating things about this instrument is the way this console is set up.
These wings were added in 1990 when the console was solid stated, okay. And those analog voices were added too.
And the red dots.
The red dots distinguish which stops are the actual Holtkamp organ, and the ones that do not have red dots are the 1990 Associated Organ Builders analog electronic editions.
And we'll hear all of that here in a minute.
Sure.
Well, it's really fascinating. And what's fascinating to me too is that it's not just the additions that are on the side, they even carried the pedal stops on over,
right.
So that it's very cohesive and looks like it's all done very professionally.
Sure. And this is the original console. It's interesting to note that in 1960, this organ actually had 2 consoles, two 3-manual consoles. And the story goes that Mr. Holtkamp wanted to put one console up in the chamber with the grill work and remove the grill work. That was one of the original proposals.
Okay.
They said, I think the church leadership said, no, but we will compromise and let you, build two consoles. And there used to be a Reredos screen that covered this whole choir loft. You couldn't see the choir.
Right.
So there was a fixed console here and a console, a movable one on a dolly that was at the foot of the stairs here that could be rolled around on the floor.
Wow.
And that's actually this console. That was the one that was renovated. So this is the one that was originally at the bottom of the steps.
So I understand you're in the middle of a big project here. Tell me a little bit about that.
This is long desired and long awaited, as I said. This is a renovation and enhancement of this instrument. As I said, there are many, many things that we absolutely adore and love about this instrument, but there are a few things that it doesn't do so well. Choral accompaniment, among other things, that we want to mitigate and address those deficiencies. So after a several-year campaign, the money was just raised, $860,000 to renovate and enhance.
And for those of you watching this years down the line, this is in COVID time. This is not an easy time for anybody to be raising money, much less a church and on an organ. So that's just a testament to the program here and to you who are at the bench. So bravo to you.
Well, thank you. And that just shows you the price difference between what it would have costed in 1960 money versus now money. And we're saving money also by renovating what we have. It's a beautiful instrument, and the core we want to keep. And there are things that we love that we want to stay. So it will be enlarged. It's 38 ranks now, and I think 41 ranks is where we will be.
Oh, nice.
On the other end, so it'll be somewhat bigger. And most of the instrument will be rescaled, revoiced. Some things will be.
A little louder.
Just to blend, exactly. Right, so the goal is to have this instrument through Easter of 2022. And hopefully will be removed soon after. And then it will be removed to the Holtkamp shop in Cleveland. Chris Holtkamp, the son of grandson of Walther Holtkamp Sr., who originally built this organ in 1960, is going to do the renovation and enhancement. So that's especially cool and
Stayed
special.
In the family,
Stayed in the family. And hopefully it will take about 6 to 9 months.
And this will be a magnificent example of what Holtkamp does, especially their maturation into what they do these days, which are these just solid American instruments. And this will be, I'm sure, a crowning jewel. So I can't wait, because they've asked me to come back and document that as well. So yeah, I'm excited too. Thank you again. It's wonderful being here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
I'm with Grant here at the console, and let's see, why don't we start with the swell, and just give us a taste of the color that Holtkamp came up with.
Sure, these strings are surprisingly nice. For the era. They're, especially when you put an 8-foot flute with them. This is the 8-foot chimney flute, gamba in Celeste. So you can kind of see it's a really nice, the Celeste really gives a really nice shimmery sound, and with the flute they've got body.
Can we hear the gamba just by itself?
Yeah.
That's almost a Skinner gamba. I mean, it's barely, it's present, but it's not. Can you just add the chimney flute to the gamba just to see what those two sound like?
Really exquisite.
Yeah, accompanying. I mean, that's nice. Okay, sweet. What else do you got?
So in 1994, I can't tell you exactly what was here before. But there were 4 stops that were exchanged for things that had, for more color and things. I think one of them was like a 1-foot cymbal that went away. It was things that really lacked color. So things that are not original to this pipe organ that were in 1960 are 4-foot spill flute, which is a super nice little. 4-foot octave, same kind of thing. And the larigo is another cool little. Neat little thing.
So the so it has the 2-foot, but no 2 2/3, but it does have the larigo, but no 1 3/5. Okay, interesting. Can you build that chorus, or what of a chorus there is there?
Out of the swell stuff?
Yeah.
I'd sort of define this as the full swell flue sound. It's
gentle.
Your full swell, yeah.
It's gentle.
Flues minus reeds, but then adding the 8-foot oboe and the 4-foot clarion. Gives it a little bit of fireworks.
Is that, those are 2 independent stops?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And really the oboe, I think, is more like a fagot, especially down in this tenor range. It has a lot of body down in here, and it's a little more narrow in the middle and upper ranges of things.
Well, yeah, that has almost like that kind of Pilcher sound to it too.
Right. And this clarion is a spiky kind of trumpet. I really love it. It's one of my favorite stops.
Nice.
Sort of French, sort of.
Yeah.
It can make or break, hymn registrations, for instance. That's a nice, nice sound.
The detuning also helps it sound a little more French too. So.
It does. Yeah, it is in need of a tune.
Okay. Well, it's about to be removed too. So.
Right.
All right. So what about the choir? What's going on there?
So another interesting thing in 1960, there was a transition of music directors and organist around the time that the organ was put in, after the contract had been signed, or design had been begun. And,
chaotic, okay.
Yes. And the incoming music director supposedly was a big-time Aeolian Skinner person.
Okay.
Huge.
Okay.
So in the original specification, it called for 1 enclosed division, and that was only the swell. So it was 3 manuals, swell, and an unenclosed positive.
Not surprising. All right.
So this is basically what we have, other than the one thing that he requested is put a box around the positive. So it becomes a choir.
Okay.
So that's what we're dealing with. There's a sweet little 8-foot cupola. It works really well. 4-foot principal. It's a nice addition to that. Flutes. These work. Nice mutations there. That's
nice
the Mansard and
yeah.
Tierce. The 2-foot principal octava here is currently not working.
Okay.
The crumhorn is
We can
nice.
imagine what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Crumhorn has a lot of body to it. I love to use it with the coppola for a bit of body, and then with the Nazard, it sort of gives it a clarinet-esque.
Nice.
It's a sweet sound.
There's a lot of color here.
If you're creative, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and luckily it is spaced out over 3 manuals so that you don't have to be really creative
Right.
in trying to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Neat. Is that mixture?
Yeah, the mixture's great. Yeah.
All right, so that moves us logically onto the great. What do we have here?
I think one of my favorite things about this organ is that it's incredibly practical as a service instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I've referenced hymn playing, but I think the principals have the articulation to get good rhythmic drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the scaling of the principals, it's a smaller scale, obviously, as you would imagine.
Right.
But the 8-foot principal and the 4-foot principal are not so obtuse for congregational singing.
Right.
They're just perfect for a good medium-sized congregation, I feel like. When it's Easter and the room is full, or Christmas, you wish you had a big solo reed or something like that. You don't.
Like you do. Yeah.
Right. And whatnot, but it's a very fine service playing instrument, and I think the great is the core of that.
Okay.
As you'll see in the scaling here. That's sweet.
It's very singable.
Absolutely, and you see the same with the 4-foot octave down in that range, and as it goes up too. It's really easy to sing through the instrument. Nice principal chorus. As you can see,
beautiful. Yeah.
crowned with a mixture. It's more bright.
Well, it may be hard to tell on the recording too. This is not a loud organ. It's a full organ. It's not one. It doesn't feel overpowering at all.
It's a bold and sturdy sound, but it's not overpowering in any way.
Right.
8-foot trumpet, sort of a German sort of reed, I think, in my mind.
Okay.
Nice for that kind of thing.
Neat.
And whatnot.
Okay. Well, I can imagine. Yeah. Can we hear the whole great together with that? Because I can imagine that sounds really nice on top of that.
Yeah.
Chorus. Neat. Okay. What do we have in the pedal?
The pedal. The pedal's heavily unified, actually.
Okay.
So there's a 16-foot principal and an 8-foot principal that are unified. And as you can see, there's lots of dead notes. Even with the 2 of those on. That is because of failed leather. And that will be addressed in the renovation. And then your flutes, your 16-foot subas and 8-foot borden are also just 12-note extensions of one another. You've got 4-foot choral boss, which is super nice.
That is nice.
That's super nice for soloing out 4-foot melodies in the pedal.
Well, and you take it for granted.
Right. And then there's a 3-rank mixture. And in terms of my playing, this is probably one of the most uncommonly used stops.
Okay.
I don't use it a ton. In Baroque music, I use it a ton for big Bach preludes and fugues and that kind of thing. But
it's a pretty mixture, actually.
It's pretty. It really is quite nice. And then you have 16 foot posaune, 8-foot trumpet, and 4-foot clarion, all unified. And I think those pipes were built by Giesecke. I think in Germany is where Holtkamp was sourcing a lot of those unit reeds at the time. That's with all 3 of those on, but just the 16. So you can tell it's got a lot of foundation.
Yeah, it does.
It's really sturdy.
Are those full-length resonators, you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then with the 8-foot, 4-foot.
That's a chorus.
There you go.
Yeah. Nice. So I have to point out, you have, and we've talked about this a little bit before, you have all of these extra stops that are analog editions, electronic editions. So and we don't have to go through all of them, but which of them do you find particularly useful?
Sure. I don't really use many of them, much at all. So on a given Sunday morning, what you're basically hearing is 1960 Holtkamp. Yeah. I think the antiphonal division is probably the more useful in terms of congregational singing, sort of gives a wraparound surround sound kind of undergirding things. I think it's one of the more useful divisions. And then there's a 32-foot gedeckt, a 32-foot bombard, and 32-foot bassoon in the pedal.
Okay.
And those 3 get quite a bit of use.
Grumble, right?
Right.
After venturing up a flight of stairs and down a corridor and past several doors, you're eventually greeted with the organ door, and guess what? It leads to the organ. The first thing that greets you when you enter the organ itself are the pedal pipes on unit chests, We will be exploring how unit chests and unit organs work later on in our Organ Explorer series, but just know that this enables the pedal pipes to be kind of placed anywhere in the chamber. Directly across from the pedal pipes is the choir division. The choir division is divided into 2 levels, and the treble pipes are on the bottom level and the bass pipes are on the top level. When peering inside the choir division, certain ranks just kind of stand out. On the left, you can see the 3-rank mixture, and then I would assume that is the tierce right next to it. And Grant mentioned that the 2-foot octava is in the box here down at the bottom of your screen. Then things get kind of interesting. What looks like a chimney flute on half of the rank, and then an open flute on another half of the rank. I'm not exactly sure what stop that is. It could be the Nizard. Behind that, the roar float. And then I believe behind that is the Preston, and then what seems to be kind of clear is that the crumhorn is sitting in the back with the long, slender resonators and the cute little openings at the top that look like little mouths. Over here is the swell division, and we're looking again at the treble pipes of a lot of the division, and where I'm not going to label every stop in this division, what is notable here are pipes that you can see here. The chimney flute, which has the little chimneys on the tops of those, and then you have the oboe, and then the 4-foot clarion. Next up is the division that sits right in front of the grill, and when you are looking up into the grill, you can actually see this. This is the great division, and it is so beautifully laid out that you can tell what each stop is. So on the far left, we have the plongeon of the mixture for the division, then the super octave, the 2-foot super octave, and then the Spitz float, which has the tapered tops to them that cuts the fundamental and gives you more harmonic. Next to that, a covered flute, the gedeckt, metal in this case, and then next to that, the principal, and then on the right of that, the octave, which is actually scaled very similarly to the principal overall, with small bumps in the middle of the rank to emphasize playing, and texture. And then on the far right, you have the trumpet just sitting there, and those beautiful resonators on the back, and I believe they are eventually brass. But then you can also see, kind of hanging out in the back, are the bass pipes to the quintadena, which is the 16-foot covered rank that is accessible on the grate. Throughout the organ chamber, there's no shortage of these black cylinders that, although they look like a Ridley Scott concoction, they are not. They are the speakers from the analog editions that were added in the 90s, and these will all be removed, making way for the new ranks of pipes that will speak directly into the choir, allowing this organ to have almost a surround quality and an accompanimental quality that it has never had before. This is just to show how you have to navigate this space, but oddly enough, this is one of the better laid out spaces that I've seen, or at least easier to get around in. Here against the very back wall, we have the rest of the pedal pipes that are again on unit chests, so they can be behind the boxes, behind everything else, and just kind of honk away back here. And you'll also notice that the top of the pipe, some of them have to be mitered or curved, so that they still ultimately have the same length, thus providing the same pitch. But if there's not enough room for the full length of the pipe, something's got to give, right? This is what's called a setter board, and this is original to the 1960 installation, but was removed in 1990. And what this giant apparatus does is, on one side, you are given the pistons that are at the organist's disposal at the console, and they are numeric, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. And then as rows, if the numbers are columns, then the rows are the stops, and so you can set each stop to be triggered by one of those pistons. This is an old way of navigating this circuitry. These days it's done by a computer, where you simply set what you need, hit this, hit that, it's done. But back in the day, if you will, from the 1960 installation, the organist had to come up to this room, manually set all of these switches, and then go back. So this is an antique, and although it is not functioning, it still has a interesting place up in the attic at Central Christian Church. The last stop on our tour is the blower room, where the blower has sat doing its faithful job since 1960. And I believe Grant mentioned that this was to be replaced, and we can't wait to hear the new breath that is breathed into this instrument when it is restored by the Holtkamp Company.